Thanks very much, Cal. That sure is a mouthful. So, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share with you Teck's perspective about technology and innovation in mining and how we, as miners, can use advanced forms of digital analytics to optimize our operations across the mining value chain. Simply put, I'm going to talk about how we can use AI to create value in mining. A lot of what you'll be hearing may not be new, but I'm hoping to give some specific examples of how meaningful, long-lasting impact can be achieved when the right forms of artificial intelligence are applied in mining. I'd like you to be able to walk away with very clear, tangible examples of how we as an industry can improve productivity, safety, and sustainability with this technology. And I'm going to do that from the perspective of a miner. I'm from Teck, a leading Canadian mining company focused on responsibly producing copper, zinc, and steelmaking coal. You might have seen us. The clicker's not working. Very good, thank you. You might have seen us in the news lately when we announced our plan to sell our steelmaking coal business unit and become a Canadian-based global critical minerals champion, focused on the products the world needs to decarbonize and electrify. While we have an office here in London, I'm based out of our headquarters in Vancouver, British Columbia. And now that you know that, I can also say it's about 2 a.m. in the morning for me right now, which is always a great time to be doing a speech. I'm Teck's Senior Vice President of Technical, which is made up of multiple technology, innovation, transformation, and engineering functions across our organization. It is our role to arm Teck with the suite of technical skills and platforms needed to continue operating high-quality assets and deliver our purpose to provide the essential resources the world is counting on. My group includes digital analytics, digital systems, technical services, autonomy, innovation, and more. Now, I don't have the background you may expect to be leading a team like this. I don't come from digital or technology. I come from mine engineering, mine operations, and was once the general manager at our Highland Valley Copper Operations, the largest copper mine in Canada. What I love about this juxtaposition is that I am no longer a special case at Teck. We saw long ago that combining both mining and technology is an advantage, and now with a team that comes from both worlds, we've been able to accomplish some pretty special things that I'm excited to share with you today. Our focus at Teck is to advance our industry-leading copper growth portfolio. I'm very excited to talk about our copper strategy, but through that, the key role of technology, digital, and artificial intelligence and what that will play in bringing our copper strategy to life. At Teck, we know the many benefits that copper has for our society. Copper connects us, copper brings us power, copper keeps us safe. Copper is a critical mineral and essential to modern life. As an industry, we have purpose and ambition to provide these critical minerals, and Teck is playing its part through our world-class copper growth portfolio. Our Quebrada Blanca 2 operations in Chile is the newest to join our ranks of operational copper assets, with our grand opening taking place just last month. We've received regulatory approval for our new copper mine in Peru called Zafranal just earlier this year, and we're in the process of extending the mine life of our Highland Valley Copper mine where I used to work to 2040. We're also advancing our Galore Creek and Shaft Creek copper projects in British Columbia. So if you haven't figured this out, we like copper, and it's our mission to provide this critical mineral to society in an ever-increasing, more sustainable way. Because although the Bronze Age, bronze being upwards of 90% copper, was about 5,000 years ago, copper is just as, if not more important today than it was then. But as much as we're experiencing a massive resurgence of copper as a critical mineral, we're not in that bronze or copper age anymore. We're in the age of silicon, the age of digital. So that's society, but let's talk mining. We have a responsibility to minimize our environmental footprint, support the communities around where we operate, and provide the resources the world is counting on for the green economy transition. It's the right thing to do, but it's not easy. At the same time, the world needs more critical minerals. Our industry is seeing more and more expectations from governments, local communities, stakeholders, and Indigenous communities, and this is a good thing. In the past, we could count on new discoveries and high-grade deposits to provide these resources, but those high-quality deposits are increasingly more rare. They are deeper, they have lower grades, and they are in more geographically challenging conditions. For example, our new Quebrada Blanca 2 operation is at 4,500 meters above sea level. That's almost 1,000 meters higher than La Paz in Peru, the world's highest city. When we paint that picture, you quickly realize how important it is that we operate more efficiently and more sustainably than we ever have before. We need to get more out of our existing and future mines. We need a step change in mining productivity. We have to provide the minerals the world is counting on. We're in the digital age, and mining is harder than ever. With those three pieces of information, it's no wonder that Teck, like many other resource companies, have looked to artificial intelligence and other types of digital technology to help them be better than ever before. That's why in 2019, we started our digital transformation program called Race 21. We recognized a massive opportunity, and here's how I put it. Teck has over 160 billion pounds of copper resources across our operations and projects. 160 billion pounds, or 80 million tons. That's over 3,000 Olympic swimming pools of pure copper. I'm not trying to brag about how many mineral resources we have, but I might brag a bit about our data. We are now Microsoft's largest consumer of cloud data in Western Canada. We have over 850 terabytes of data in the cloud. That's 850 trillion bytes, 85 followed by 13 zeros. So if it seemed like we have a lot of pounds of copper in the ground, we have 5,000 times as much data in the cloud. We also know that Teck is not unique in this way. Many other miners across the industry have this massive resource at their disposal. But as miners know, there's a difference between reserves and resources. So we asked ourselves, how can we turn this massive data resource into a digital reserve, into true value? This is when we looked to advanced analytics. We believed there could be a material impact of applying technologies like machine learning and artificial intelligence across our business. We believed these tools were how we would capture the value of that data resource. So we set an ambitious goal of a $1 billion earnings improvement, and that was the goal of Race 21 back in 2019. That was also before we faced a global pandemic, but despite COVID-19, we did it. By the end of 2022, we were anticipating the benefits of this digital transformation of ours to be upwards of the 1 billion target that we had set for ourselves. We had a measured impact across our entire business thanks to the development, testing, and implementation of hundreds of technologies. However, this value didn't come without its challenges, and we made some mistakes. Fortunately, the lessons we learned are perhaps even more valuable than the solutions themselves, something I'll share more on later. Either way, we managed to capture the value of our digital resource. We mined our data. I think it's fair to say that we are no longer just mining the earth, but the cloud as well. I'll now share some examples across our business, starting with processing. We equipped our operations in our processing mills with diagnostic and predictive information that helped them increase metal production and by being proactive to incoming ore characteristics. Due to variability in ore characteristics, for example, the head grade at our Red Dog mine, this real-time information allowed operators to take control in a way they never have before. We also found ways to meaningfully support our sustainability objectives. In the Elk Valley, we implemented sensors and provided our teams with real-time information into water quality. Similarly, we pulled data in real time from particulate sensors measuring dust concentrations in air. We use this information to predict in time and space the amount of dust in the air and therefore the exposure risk of our people to that hazard. By providing this data to our operations, they had another layer of information that they could use to stay safe and minimize their exposure. One of the most impactful parts of Race 21, though, was our mine optimization portfolio. It included a wide variety of technologies, including autonomous haulage, collision avoidance system, and most importantly, real-time machine learning-based haulage optimization products. Since Race 21 ended at the end of 2021, that could have been the end of the story, as well as my speech, which would mean you get a break to grab another much-needed coffee. But before you get up, I'm afraid to say that that wasn't the end. We believe that this work is just as important today, if not more, than it was in 2019 when we began, which is why our RACE program lives on as our new digital analytics team. Continuing down our journey, developing digital technologies and building a connected ecosystem, I want to share two areas that we've been investing in since Race 21 ended. One of those areas is continued development of some of our digital products that were part of the mine optimization portfolio. We're using artificial intelligence to help our mining supervisors be even better decision makers. Not just make better decisions, but learn from those decisions. Our supervisors are experienced, they know our operations inside and out, but they have a million things that are going on, and we're lucky if they can spend even half of their time, and sometimes as little as a quarter of their time, focused on production. That's why we now equip them with real-time information that quickly summarizes everything happening in their operation and advises them what they should do to optimize production in real time. We're empowering them to make the most out of those brief windows of time. This was one of the earliest opportunities we identified in Race 21, and with the success and learnings of the past 4 years, we're continuing to grow that capability and scale the technology to its full potential. So what does that look like? Since the beginning of modern mining, we've had to make operational decisions to improve safety, maximize productivity, and reduce costs. But we haven't had a way to validate in real time whether the decisions we made were good ones, or whether the immediate or eventual implication of the decisions were counterproductive to our ultimate goals. I'll share a quick story. Years ago, at one of our operations, I remember a disagreement between mine ops and our mine planning team. There was a short detour on one of our haul routes, and our mine operations supervisors insisted it needed to be removed because it was impacting cycle times too much. Our engineers, however, did the calculations and said the time and effort it would take to fix the detour outweighed the potential savings. A couple of days later, a Saturday night shift when there were conveniently no mine planners around, that detour magically disappeared. To this day, I have no idea whether that action had a positive or negative impact. But if we had the tools that we have today, back then, we would know for sure. Leveraging machine learning and artificial intelligence, we can capture the actions taken by our people and operations and monitor performance to understand the impacts of those decisions. We can now track action to impact. Our people can see the way that the impact that they're having in cycle, in shift, in production, whatever it may be. We have this whole new data set around decision impact that we've never had before. We can then use that data to do two things. One, feed that data back into our machine learning models to improve the accuracy and future recommendations. And two, provide confidence to teams when they are taking the right actions and provide insights into when actions don't have the intended consequences. We can use this information to continually train both our people and our machine learning models so that they're always learning. This full cycle of integrated human AI continuous learning is not something we had seen in mining until we created our products to do so. And it's something we're very excited about in both our processing plants and mining operations. Now, what's unexpectedly hard about all of this is that in order to make data-informed decisions, we first need to get the right information to the right people at the right time. In mining, we're used to taking a bit of a shotgun approach. If we show everyone everything, surely everyone will get everything they need. It's the easiest and quickest way to get information to people, which might look something like this. An old short interval control dashboard from one of our operations. What we came to learn through our experiences is that often the most impactful solutions are the most simple. Show people only the things they truly need to see. If you look at some of the most influential technological innovations in recent years, they're always simple. At least it feels that way. In 2005, Apple released the iPod Shuffle, one of the simplest looking and simple to use products ever invented. A year later, the second generation iPod Shuffle came out, just as simple, but half the size. It only took 3 months of existence before the iPod Shuffle took over half the MP3 music player market. Looking at more recent innovations, let's shift to the exciting realm of generative AI. And this is where I start to get really excited. In the ever-evolving landscape of artificial intelligence, generative AI stands out as one of the most significant innovations. Surprisingly, despite being extremely advanced, its operation is elegantly simple. All you need to do is type in a box or talk to it. Now, as we navigate digital transformation and innovation in mining, we must adopt a mindset that appreciates the sophistication behind simplicity, but also the value when done right. We need to get from this and move more towards this, or this, or this. This is an artificial intelligence-based decision support tool that we've built in our mining portfolio. And we've spent a lot of time investing into the user experience, which has steered us away from cluttered and overcomplicated dashboards. It gets the right information to the right people at the right time, nothing more and nothing less. Now, there is a heck of a lot of AI that sits behind this tool, but the users don't need to be distracted by that or any other details. Now, let's explore the convergence of generative AI and UI/UX. While acronyms are no stranger to our industry, UI/UX might be a recent addition for some of you in the room. It stands for user interface and user experience, encapsulating how users interact with a product. A disregard for the user experience can result in products like the dashboard we saw earlier, or perhaps something like this, or this. A seamless user experience ensures we avoid the frustrations akin to struggling with the upside-down USB cable, contrasting with the simplicity and convenience of USB-C, which is always up 100% of the time. So back to my point, we spent a lot of time focusing on user experience so that the right information gets to the right people at the right time, and this is something that generative AI can also help with. We've been exploring a variety of use cases recently for generative AI in mining, and one of the most promising is Gen AI as UI/UX. Rather than trying to create the perfect user experience based on a predefined persona, each person can have tailored analytics based on their exact needs. Generative AI can automate and personalize interfaces, dynamically adapting them to the individual's behavior and preferences. Imagine analytics that evolve with the user, learning to present information more effectively and intuitively over time. This would represent a fundamental shift in how we interact with information. You get both the benefit of a scalable product and the user-centric customization of tailored solution. These technologies are amazing and some of the things that we're working on right now on the edge. Now, I told you before that we believe using advanced analytics to optimize our operations is even more important today than it was when we began this journey in 2019. Part of the reason is just how far AI has come in that short period of time. We believe it's so important that it will no longer be a choice. Miners are facing a decision point where we must adopt technologies like machine learning and generative AI to remain competitive and fulfill our purpose. I've shared with you some of the technologies we've developed and implemented at Teck, areas where we've continued to invest since the program ended, and now I'd like to share some lessons we have learned that are guiding what we're doing today and planning for tomorrow. Believing that all miners, our peers, will need to adopt or develop technologies such as these, it is my hope that in sharing our journey, that it will make it a little bit easier for some of you. So I have 3 lessons that I hope you will consider as you embark or continue down a similar path. The first, stay focused on value. Throughout the entirety of the Race 21 program, we measured the impact and value of the work that we were doing to ensure it was an investment we wanted to continue making. This forces you to focus on the end goal and the problems you're trying to solve. The challenge is that so much of this new technology is emerging, and sometimes you can get caught with a cool solution but without a problem worth solving. This is something I hear our digital product team often talking about. Make sure we understand the problem in its entirety before we come up with the solution. Something cool is happening because of our keen attachment to value. It's what I was talking about earlier, tracking action to impact. Giving another example, one of our products can flag a stretch of road as poor quality and need of maintenance, and so a dispatcher can send a grader to fix that segment. The AI automatically measures haul truck speeds along the segment before and after it's advised that a repair is required and the repair is made, and then calculates that value for us in real time. That action creates a significant impact on operations. The other result is that we know the total impact of all of our products and technologies across our digital portfolio. And that's why I can say that our mine optimization portfolio was one of the most impactful that we developed over the last few years. This has helped us focus since the end of the program and double down in the areas where we can have the most value and impact. Now, one of the challenges we had when it came to capturing value is sometimes we needed to move very quickly to prove the value of an opportunity. I don't think it was intentional, but certainly coincidental, we called our program Race 21. It felt like we were sprinting, and that's a core tenet of agile product development. Fail fast, but learn faster. As long as you take the time to learn from those trials or proofs of concept and build a product that can be scaled and sustained long term. Unfortunately, we didn't always do that, and the result at times was numerous bespoke solutions solving the same problem in different ways. Where we found ourselves at the end of our program was with a lot of custom solutions creating value across our operations. From a short-term perspective, that was fantastic, but from a long-term perspective, it's expensive. It's very expensive. That's the second lesson. Doing digital well is expensive at first, but leads to big savings if done right. If you take shortcuts in the beginning, you're going to have to come back one day and pay down that technical debt if you want to create that long-term value. Technical debt, for those of you that haven't heard the term, refers to an implied cost that technology businesses incur when they don't fix issues which will affect them in the future. And just like any other debt, the longer you wait, the more you'll have to pay. We have paid down this metaphorical debt since the end of our Race 21 program. We took the most successful custom-made solutions and did 2 things. 1, we combined them into commercial-grade, scalable products, built a streaming data platform to standardize development and support capabilities. This makes them much easier to sustain as well as scale to not only our current operations, but also future operations and anyone else that wants to use them, including outside of Teck. The value we created through Race 21 represents a significant return on investment for us, but I don't want to fool you into thinking it was easy. We moved very fast, we made a lot of mistakes, and we got a lot of help. We never wanted to pursue this endeavor alone, and throughout the entirety of the program, we had the support of partners, and we're in conversations with our peers on how we could work together. We explored many collaboration opportunities, but we wanted to prove the value first. Well, now that we've proven that value and we know how hard it is to do alone, we're actively talking to our peers about collaboration so that the positive impact of our digital solutions can be felt more broadly across the industry. That's the last lesson and perhaps the biggest difference between Race 21 and where we are with our digital analytics capabilities today. We no longer want to build just for ourselves. I've already shared with you that we believe all miners will need to adopt these technologies in the future, But more importantly, I believe we need to come together as miners and be smart with our resources. Now, I started today talking about the seemingly insurmountable challenge we face as an industry to sustainably provide the essential minerals our society needs, and I believe the only way to overcome this challenge is to increasingly work together. Now, you may ask yourself, well, why would we want to share our technology with competitors? But we don't actually see it that way. We don't see our peers as competitors in this space, but partners and potential collaborators. We want other miners to use our technologies and hope they are willing to share the same back with us. We're so committed to this idea that we've invested in developing that technology platform I mentioned earlier, which can support a connected ecosystem of not only our digital solutions, but those out in the industry that we're not even aware of yet. If you've solved a problem that we haven't, we would much rather understand and adopt an existing solution and focus our innovation investments on the problems that haven't been solved yet. As an industry, we have many challenges ahead of us, and we can exponentially increase the pace of successful innovation if we do it together. I see the use of advanced analytics to achieve higher efficiencies than ever before, key to supplying the critical minerals the world is counting on, but collaborating on a wider range of technologies is the only way we'll be able to do it in a sustainable way. And I mean sustainable in all senses, economically, socially, and environmentally. We need solutions that can take the massive digital resource we have as an industry, the data we have in the cloud, in our folders and on our servers, wherever it turns out to be valuable, into a reserve. We need the tools that will help us use this data to be more efficient and productive than ever before. And we've created some of those solutions at Teck through our various technologies, but we know there's more out there. Some of those solutions fall into the areas I spoke about earlier, generative AI and mine optimization, but others in other areas as well. I'm sure many of you in this room have done equally as well, if not more impactful things that you could share. And if you're doing those things, I hope that the lessons I shared will be helpful. To focus on value, to think about value long term, and to not do it alone. So if there's one last message I have for you, it's that I hope we're not just in the age of digital, but also in the age of collaboration. So I encourage you to reach out to me or anybody at Teck if you're interested in talking more about how we can collaborate in the future. Thanks very much.
Any questions? I see a hand. The microphone is on its way.
Hi, Grant. Thanks. You answered one question, which was, did you use a waterfall or agile development in that? And so you would have had to bake into some point some stops for it, like the iterative design, because you can iterate constantly, right?
Yeah.
So the first question I have is, what are the strategies that you had to stop the iteration?
Yeah.
And also, did you prefer the agile development over waterfall? Because I think in mining we get afraid to break the innovation, but we need to break it to fix it so we can push it forward.
Yeah, that's a great question. We could spend an hour talking about that. What I would say is you can't do this type of work, I think, effectively and efficiently unless you adopt agile. And it's a very different methodology for us in the mining industry. So I think it's essential, but at the same time, I think it's very hard. You know, there's a lot of people that will talk about some of the downfalls of agile, where instead of like we're in mining used to, where you have defined sort of objectives and outcomes you're looking for, agile feels like it can sort of churn and go on forever. And we experience some of that. And so I think it's important, but you have to be really clear with how you implement agile so you don't fall into the traps that sometimes you can hear about. When you do it properly, and what we did at Teck, is we actually defined an entire maturity process whereby we started with proofs of concept that were small investments, and then you had to go through a gate. And after that gate, you developed a minimum viable product, which had to be done in collaboration with our sites. And if you went through that gate, then we actually built a product, which is where the real investment started. So there are these sort of formalized gates. We tried to, I guess, combine a bit of waterfall, but really relied on agile at its core.
Anything else? Yes. The microphone is on its way.
Hey, thank you. Great presentation. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Andrew Fulton, the Mining Association of the UK. I love your use of the term product. And in that last statement, you talked about the iterations you took before you developed the product. And one of that was collaborations with the site. But before that, I was thinking about products have customers. And I imagine your customers being the likes of that face on the screen now, shovel drivers, truck drivers, dispatch operators, etc. Was there anything you needed to do or learn? And were there any experiences that you could share on how you managed customer expectations and also receive feedback from your customers on the products and how they fit? Maybe they need to be changed, etc. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. So this notion of being customer centric, I think, is really important when you're doing digital product development, because you can very quickly get caught up in the really cool technology that exists behind all this. But if you lose sight of the fact that you're doing this for one main purpose, which is to make somebody's life easier and better and to improve outcomes, then you can end up developing the wrong thing for the wrong person. And so this notion of customer-centric or user-focused is something that, thankfully, when we started down this path, others that had gone before us in other industries that we met with were very clear with us the criticality of having that view. And so from the very beginning, it was one of the main areas of focus for us, is to think about outcomes, think about the user, and think about what we are trying to do, not the technology behind it.
That's just about all we have time for. Thank you very much, Greg.
Great. Thanks so much.